And I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go live on Facebook. Everybody ready? All right, good evening, everybody. We are live. I am going to be looking at two different screens here so that I can see the Zoom, and then I'm also going to be keeping track of our Facebook Live feed. So we'll give everyone a couple of seconds to join us. I'm waiting to be able to see the Facebook Live feed, so hang on just a second. There we go. All right, can you guys still hear me? Yes, awesome. All right, well, welcome everybody. I see a lot of people are starting to log on to the live, so we'll give everybody just a few seconds to join us. In the meantime, my name is AJ Huff. I'm the coordinator of public relations for Butler Tech, and I'll be kind of leading us through this event this evening. I am going to go ahead and post in the comments on Facebook some of the items that we're going to be talking about tonight. So I'll go ahead and do that now. And we'll also go over those here in just a second. Got quite a few people joining us, so we'll give it just a couple more seconds and then we'll go with introductions. Additionally, while we get started, I will also let you know that I'm going to also be doing my best to answer as many questions as I can in the comments section. One thing that's really important to understand is that the purpose of tonight's call is really to talk about the district level information for our Tier 2 plan as we plan to come back to school. So this is really going to focus on the education model that we're going to be using, the health and safety, all of the things that are going to be the same across the board for all the campuses. However, we all know that the campuses are very different and you are going to have specific questions about your program and about your campus. And we'll be answering some of those in the coming days, especially as you have contact with your principal, your instructor. So if we don't answer your question this evening, we'll do our best to get to it in the comments. Or you'll be hearing from your principal in the next couple of days with that information. But the main goal of tonight is to talk about the district level information. So we'll go ahead and start introductions. I'm going to introduce myself one more time because we've got quite a few people joining us. Again, I'm AJ Huff. I'm the coordinator of public relations for Butler Tech. And then I'll hand it off to John Grafton, our superintendent, to introduce himself.
Good evening, everybody. My name is John Grafton. I'm the superintendent and CEO of Butler Tech. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our Facebook Live. My name is William Sprankles. I'm the director for our secondary campuses and all of our secondary programs.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Matt King. I'm the recruitment and retention coordinator for the secondary campuses. I'm the one that's kind of helping you navigate this recruitment cycle.
Good evening, everyone. I'm the Executive Director of Business Operations, David Plotz.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marnie Durham, and I serve as the Assistant Superintendent. Thanks for joining us.
All right, perfect. So as I mentioned a few moments ago, I did go ahead and post some of the things that we're going to talk about tonight, specifically the Tier 2 hybrid model, which is Butler Tech's plan for the return to school in a few weeks. We're also going to discuss the student and staff health requirements, our safety protocols. Marnie will be talking with us about special needs and services, The individual campus plans we'll touch on just a little bit, as the purpose is to really talk about the district level information. And then of course, we're definitely going to be talking about the upcoming dates and events and communication that you can plan on receiving from us in the coming days. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it back over to John to talk a little bit about how we came to the hybrid plan out of the 3-tier plan that we created.
Thank you, AJ. Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is John Grafton, the Superintendent CEO of Butler Tech. It's our pleasure to have you with us tonight. I know we're trying to do our best to answer all of your questions that we can at this point in time. I want to share with you a little bit about our guiding principles and how we came about with our 3-tier plan, and then mobilizing our Tier 2 plan, which is our hybrid model for face-to-face learning. So first, I want to share with you that our 2 focus areas we were wanting to make sure with any plan that we implemented had 2 factors that we thought about. One was the health and safety aspect of opening our schools or doing remote learning, and making sure that when we were opening our buildings, we were doing so in a safe manner. Secondly, we wanted to make sure that all 3 of our tiered plans and our 2-tier plans, specifically in the hybrid model, that instructionally it was sound and it was going to be good practice and good pedagogy in making sure that we're following the content and instruction and expectations for what everyone expects from a Butler Tech program. I want to add just a personal note about the health and safety. One, at Butler Tech, we're following the science. We're obtaining the information from the CDC. We're seeking guidance from our health commissioners locally, and we're using that information to make the best decisions possible. Secondly, I want to just personally share with everyone that everybody on this call today, I know health and safety is of a primary focus and a primary concern. I've had 2 children that have gone through public schools. I have 3 children that are currently enrolled in public schools. And anytime we make decisions regarding Butler Tech programs, anytime we make decisions about whether we're going to open buildings or close buildings, I have the heart of thinking about making those decisions as the superintendent of Butler Tech. But I will also tell you that I'm making those decisions as a father. And I would just want to share with you personally that this weighs heavy on us, and we want to make sure that we're doing the right thing to make sure that all of our students and our staff are healthy when they return to school. So we are excited about the opportunity to share tonight a little bit about our plans, and we really look forward to hearing some of the questions and you being able to assist us in making sure that we can answer all the questions for the public.
Great, thank you, John. Before we move on, I am going to reiterate a couple of things that I said earlier, because we've gained a couple hundred followers or people that are viewing since the last time I said it. So just a couple of things. I did post a list of some of the topics that we're going to discuss tonight. Transportation is popping up hot and heavy in the comments, and we will get to that. That's part of the plan. So we will talk about that. Also, the purpose of tonight's conversation is to really talk about this from a district level. All of the campuses, all of the programs are very different, and we understand that you have very specific questions. So if we don't get to those questions tonight, have no fear, type those into the comments, we can get back with you. And then also know that your principal and your instructors are going to be reaching out in various ways over the next few days to answer a lot of those very specific questions that are specific to you, your campus, and your program. So with that said, I am going to go ahead and pass this over to William to talk about the Tier 2 plan.
Good evening, everyone, again. So want to provide some details about our instructional model at all 4 of the Butler Tech campuses. When AJ talks about the Tier 2 model, what that means to students and what that means to parents is it's a combination of learning. So 2 days a week, students will be reporting for a face-to-face experience, primarily anchored in their labs, but with some touch points with your academic teachers. The other 2 days of the week, students will be at home participating in distance learning or virtual learning. So half of the students will report to your respective campuses on Mondays and Wednesdays, and the other half of the students will report on Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's opposite. So whatever days you're not at campus, the expectation is that you're at home, logging in, participating, and engaging in a virtual learning experience. There's some additional details that'll help us understand as students and staff and parents how to navigate through what we're calling our hybrid model. Couple things is that hybrid model is designed to make sure that safety and health expectations can be executed based on the science and based on the recommendations of the CDC. So by only having 50% of the students on the campus for 2 days on Monday and Wednesday, and by only having the other 50% on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're able to more effectively social distance in our lunchrooms, our cafeterias, our hallways, and our classroom spaces. Regarding your specific schedule, every student will be assigned a different schedule based on the campus that you go to. In the next week or so, your campus principal will be emailing or hard mailing you which days you are assigned based on your respective programs that you're currently in or that you've been accepted to as an incoming sophomore or an incoming junior at the Butler Tech campuses. Other expectations, and AJ in just a second will show them the timeline of the events in about 30 seconds. All students at all Butler Tech of our 4 campuses will use Schoology, which is what we call our online learning management system. Our returning students already know what Schoology is, and all of our new and incoming students will be provided with training during the first 3 weeks of the school year by our teachers so that parents know your students will be supported when you get to the campuses. We'll teach you how to do everything that you need to do to be successful when you're at home on the opposite 2 days engaging in your virtual learning experience. In addition to Schoology, all students will be assigned an Outlook account, a professional Outlook account to manage their email and manage their calendars. And again, we will train all students on how to do that during the opening weeks. I'm going to let AJ run through the sequence of events that you're looking at. These are what we call touch points between the time you get off of this Facebook Live and the time that school starts. Here's how you can expect to be communicated to from Butler Tech. Go for it, AJ.
Sure. So as you see there, the first date is today. So this is our opportunity to share with you on the Facebook Live the Tier 2 plan. Also, if you're a current student or incoming student or parent, you should have received an email this morning that allows you to visit a page on our website and download, looks just like this. Click on your building and then you can actually download the plan. And each one of those is a little bit different because, as I said, you have a different schedule depending on which campus you're on. So specifically, a lot of the questions that I'm seeing pop up in the Facebook comments, a lot of those are going to be answered tonight, and they're also in these documents. So I definitely, if you haven't already taken a look at these, I do believe they're going to be a huge help to a lot of you to get answers on some of the things that you're asking.
AJ,
if you can go back to the, yep, perfect. Yes, go ahead, William.
There's a series of questions that are trending in the chat room that I'd like to speak to. There's about a dozen questions around how students will access academics. Would you like me to hold on that and let you finish, or you want me to answer that right now?
No, go ahead. We'll leave this up. That way people can take a look at it while you're talking about the academics.
Great. So there's a lot of questions in the chat room about academics. Let me explain. Most of the students, when you report to campuses, everyone will engage face-to-face with your lab instructors during those 2 days. But at different points during those 2 days, your academic teachers, they may come into your lab spaces. So they're going to bring you some academic touch points, or in different programs, you may have some opportunities to step out of your lab in small groups or one-on-one settings. We know that a lot of families struggled with the remote learning fourth quarter last school year because they never had face-to-face engagements with their teachers. So right now, we're not deploying anything completely online. Even if it's online, there will be touch points to have face-to-face interactions with your academic teachers to get support in small groups or one-on-one settings. And last but not least, what we're not speaking to right now that I want to clarify is 2 days you're on campus, 2 days you're virtual, which leaves Fridays. Fridays during first semester is a 5th day experience, and it's required school attendance. Every student will be assigned either a virtual experience on Friday or an in-person experience on a campus on Friday, based on what your unique needs are. So based on what your strengths are, based on what your areas of growth is, the campus teachers and campus principals and the counselors will schedule the students accordingly so that we never go over 50% of the student body to maintain social distancing on the campuses. But that way parents know there's an extra day built in for support, whether it's virtual support or whether it's face-to-face in-person support. And we believe this is a really strong approach to personalizing education for all of our young people at all of our Butler Tech campuses, and making the approach more personalized and more relationship-based, because we can customize your needs now versus teaching all students the exact same way. And AJ, I think that covers it for this segment. We can allow Mr. King to transition into the 10th grade academy dialogue, and then we'll come back to talking about technology, laptops, and other things at the tail end of the Facebook Live in case anybody logs on.
Okay.
Yeah, I see there's some questions about that, and we can answer and try to answer all of those. We'll let Matt go, and then we'll answer some of those about fees, computers, internet service at home, such.
Perfect. Go ahead, Matt, and talk to us about the 10th grade academy students, and hopefully there's lots of them watching. So
Great, perfect, William. Thank you, William. I just want to say before we get started, thank you all for, this is pretty great. We have over 700 people tuning in right now, so that's awesome. That means that the communication is working in the COVID world. So I appreciate you guys taking the initiative to watch this. We're utilizing the domain name butlertech.org/back-to-what with some hyphens in the middle. That was in the email that we sent out. That's where you can access the link to view the education tier plans. You can see it in more detail based upon your campus. I want to speak a little bit about the 10th grade academy, and that is also in the plan for D. Russell Lee. If you click on the D. Russell Lee campus, you'll be able to see that. But 10th grade academy is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and we'll have students on those campuses, but it'll be broken into kind of students will come, half of 10th graders will come Monday, Wednesday, and then Tuesday, Thursday. It's also outlined there. Feel free to reach out to me. 10th grade academy is always and will continue to be a very competitive program to get into. So congratulations again for getting into that program. That's your opportunity to really learn more about your passion of what it is that you want to go into, and kind of check out all of our Butler Tech programs before day one of becoming a Butler Tech junior. So that's all that I have. The other thing that I have as well, and I will be posting this in the Facebook chat, and I will also be sending this via email. I have a form, an inquiry form if you need to fill that out, and this is for our Schools for Tools scholarship. So we do have a fund that we make available. We can't promise anything, but we know a lot of different people's situations right now, and if you are in potentially need of needing help or assistance in covering some of the expenses for school supply lists, I will post that there, and then I can send you the link to fill out that application. But that's all that I have. Thank you all.
great. So a couple of questions before we move on and really dive in, talking about the actual safety and health protocols that we're going to be implementing. Transportation is a big one, so we'll just go ahead and say that right now. Yes, you will have transportation that is provided from your homeschool. Even if your homeschool starts after Butler Tech, your homeschool will provide transportation for you from your homeschool to Butler Tech and back in the afternoon. In order to find out the times and things that are specific to your homeschool, you will need to touch base with your transportation department at your homeschool. And definitely, John and I talked about this today, be patient. We know that we're all on different schedules, and a lot of the homeschools are still figuring out, they've got a few more weeks and they're still figuring out their plans as well. So, but we have talked and confirmed that all of them will be providing transportation for our Butler Tech students all 5 days. So I know that was another question. Will there be a transportation on Friday? Yes, there will be school transportation on Friday provided by your home school. Another question as we talk about the hybrid plan are computers, and all of our students are issued a laptop. So we are a one-to-one district. There will be no sharing of laptops. Each student will be assigned that. And that's all done a little bit differently based on the campus that you're going to be attending. Some of the specifics that I talked about earlier, that is one of those that you will be finding out from your principal very soon in the coming days, how you will receive your laptop and how those will be deployed. What other questions of my Butler Tech people here? Is there anything else that we need to touch base on of the questions before we move to the next section?
Yeah, somebody asked a question about internet service. If they don't have internet service at home, I would say reach out to us and send us an email, whether it's questions@butlertech.org or whether it's through Mr. King or through AJ Huff at huffa@butlertech.org. We'll do everything we can to work with you at trying to find a solution that makes sure that you have internet service at home so that we can implement and institute the remote model.
AJ, there's a couple questions floating around, which is super helpful. If you can show the graphic again of the dates, if you have a second to do that.
Matt?
I know there's some folks in the chat room that are asking questions about orientation. Anything that is not answered tonight on this call is primarily around district level dialogue, district level discussion, district level safety protocols. A lot of the things you're asking, which are very specific to your campuses, you will get those answers at your August 7th virtual orientation. So we're doing the orientation virtually on August 7th. Your campuses will post links. They will email you and hard mail you when those are going to be. They'll communicate accordingly. The orientations will be done virtually on August 7th so that we can model what our hybrid plan starts to look like. Modeling that some of this is going to happen virtually, just like tonight's Facebook Live, but you will have a virtual opportunity to conference with your lab instructors, get details around uniforms and other campus-specific needs. So if we don't answer a lot of the things in the chat room tonight, they will be answered on August 7th.
A quick question about CCP, College Credit Plus. We still plan to have College Credit Plus course offerings. Obviously, they may change from an in-person model to a more remote model, depending upon the university that you're enrolled in. But we will continue with our College Credit Plus courses.
Right.
Absolutely. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and hand this over to David to talk about some of the safety and health protocols and procedures that we've put in place. And while he does that, I'm also going to be looking to see if there are any other broad district questions that we've missed that we can try to answer for you before we move on to the next section. So, David?
Hello, everyone. I'm David Plotz, and Butler Tech has been working to meet or exceed all of the governor's directives, the guidance from the Ohio Department of Health, the Ohio Department of Education, and the Butler County Health Department. All these guidelines for schools, we've been diligently working to ensure we're meeting or exceeding those to make sure we have a safe environment for our staff and students. Please, everyone, keep in mind when you're coming to school, you need to make sure that you self-check your temperature before you leave home. So make sure you take your temperature, look at those CDC questions, and make sure that you're feeling well before you even come to school. It's already been mentioned, AJ, thanks for bringing that up about transportation, but you will be transported to school by your home school district, but make sure you're wearing your mask. Masks are required for all staff and students at Butler Tech. So when you come to school, make sure you're wearing your mask. And also, please attempt to maintain that 6-foot social distancing at all times. That is required at all locations on all campuses. We've done a lot in increasing the quantity and the quality of our sanitizing and cleaning. We've done a lot of work, and one of the big things that helps is having this Tier 2 schedule, having that AB schedule. It reduces the number of students that are in the building. And so what that does for us is it lets us have a much better ability to social distance out and spread people out to maintain that distance as much as possible. Additionally, Butler Tech has added significantly to our custodial staff. We've bought a lot of new equipment that helps us clean more deeply. We are cleaning and sanitizing all of our spaces at least daily for every room that's in use. The restrooms are going to be cleaned every single class period. And when you're eating lunch, we're going to be cleaning all of those lunchrooms in between each lunch group that comes through. All the cleaning products we're using are rated to sanitize COVID-19. There are a lot more plans, and we have full detailed plans we've been deploying with our teams to make sure that everything is a healthy and safe environment for everyone to come back. All of these actions together help provide that clean, healthy, and well-sanitized learning environment for all of our students and staff. Does anyone have any?
I did see a couple of questions, David, that actually pertain to this. So a few of the questions, we did say that masks are required, and we will be providing all of our students with a Butler Tech mask, as well as hand sanitizer and a water bottle. So you all be receiving that. Someone did ask about thermometers. Not everyone will be receiving a thermometer, but obviously if you feel that you have a temperature and you unfortunately don't catch that until you get to school, our nurses will be taking care of that once you're on site. So definitely self-checking though before you get to the school is best.
Somebody asked a quick question about will people be informed if there was a positive case? All of that we work through our human resource department in cooperation with our local health department. They're working through the process of the contact tracing. It will be very important that we make sure that we know where students are going, and if they deviate from the schedule, it's why we're having all of our students have their Outlook accounts, as well as our teachers who have Outlook accounts, so that if we do have a positive case within one of our buildings, we can do contact tracing to make sure that if anybody had a possible exposure, we're going to make sure that it's a low exposure, because we're going to try to do everything possible to maintain and assure that 6-foot distancing, making sure that everybody does wear a mask, so that we can lower the risk of the exposure. But yes, you would be informed if there was a possible exposure with your child.
And if you take a look at the documents that we shared earlier today and that you can find on the website at the butlertech.org/back-to-what, and that's been put in the comments a couple of times, there is an entire section in that document that talks about our COVID positive protocol. So if you want to read over that in detail, that is included in that section as well. Dave, there were some questions about the type of masks. They don't have to wear the Butler Tech mask. We are going to give them a really stylish Butler Tech mask, but they don't have to wear that one. So can you talk about the masks? And also someone had asked about face shields.
Certainly. So any type of cloth covering that covers your nose and your mouth, and covers like this, if it's a cloth face covering, that is acceptable. So for example, a bandana or a homemade face mask is perfectly fine. It just needs to make sure that it's cloth and it covers your nose and your mouth when you're wearing it. Face shields, unfortunately, face shields are not a good alternative to a face mask or a facial covering like that. So a mask or a face covering is what's required. If someone does need an accommodation for that or has a special circumstance, please talk to your buildings and talk to your building leadership about that, and we'll definitely work with you on that.
All right, we're going to do a small loop back through another round of our academic programming conversations or our instructional programming conversations and rapidly touch on some other details. The student day, like what does your student's day actually look like when they report to the campus? Earlier in the call, AJ referenced a one-pager that's relevant to every single campus.
Hey, wait, I'm sorry to interrupt, but do we want to have Marnie talk about her work first, or do we need to head straight to the schedules?
Yes, let's have her go, and then I'll circle back around.
Yeah, they may have additional questions about the actual schedule after Marnie has an opportunity.
Yes, and hi again, I'm Marnie Durham. I know David just spoke about accommodations. That's what I wanted to add to the conversation tonight, to share a little bit about servicing students with special needs. Students that access an IEP, which is an individualized education program, or ELL, which is a student that is an English language learner or utilizing a 504 plan, will be given full access to their individualized accommodations related to the environment that they're receiving instruction. You heard William speak earlier about having some choices. For instance, a student on an IEP will be provided specially designed instruction during their academic time, or they can meet with their intervention specialist one-to-one while they're on campus. Students accessing ELL or 504 services will receive accommodations during their academic teacher time. And if you have any questions regarding services, please reach out to your campus counselors. They'll be able to guide you through that process and who is the best person to work with to ensure that all of the plans are taken care of properly. Related services such as occupational therapy, physical therapy, or speech will be coordinated with the homeschool to fit the needs of every student, which is typically the process. Students who are medically fragile and are not able to attend face-to-face classes will need to meet with their Butler Tech principal, and we can discuss options for you as well. And like David said, that also falls into if I need a shield instead of a mask. We do have some options. Also, our Project Life instructors have sent their Tier 2 schedules to parents already, and those accessing Project Search will maintain a 5-day-a-week schedule for all interns, since their class sizes are already at 12 for every site. So we're within regulations with those students. But that's all I have for special services. Please leave your comments below and we'll answer those as we go through. But thanks for listening.
And William, before you begin, I'm just seeing some comments here. This is being recorded, and we will post this on the Back to What page as well. And then orientation is also virtual. I'm seeing a lot of those comments. You'll be receiving more information about that. Go ahead, Mr. Sprinkles.
Yeah, so earlier in the call, for those of you that just joined, we discussed some instructional or academic points of clarity. We're going to go back through some of those, but rapidly cover some new information also. Every single campus has produced a one-pager which outlines what the student day will look like. AJ referenced that document earlier in the call. Those will be posted on our website when this call is over so that everyone can get the specific document relevant to your campus. She's scrolling through right now, and as she comes to a particular one-pager, notice at the top where she's hovering her cursor, it says the D. Russell Lee campus. Please make sure that you find the document labeled with your respective campus that you'll be attending. So if she scrolls down again, she can click a different campus and it'll say School of the Arts, Bioscience, or Natural Science Center. Please make sure you're looking at the document relevant to your campus. One of the things we want parents and students to know is the days are similar at our campuses, but they're not identical. And we want you guys to know that. The days are similar, but they're not identical. And they're not identical because we're not going to force all students to get the exact same education the exact same way. One of our principles at Butler Tech is we believe we need to personalize the educational experience as much as possible. And we're putting forward our best effort to personalize your child's strengths and your child's needs, even during a hybrid plan. So this is our best effort at doing that work. I encourage you to review those one-pagers prior to your August 7th virtual orientation so that you can show up virtually on August 7th and have questions prepared for your lab teachers and or your principal virtually on those particular days.
And Mr. Sprinkles, real quick, the 10th grade academy lives at D. Russell Lee campus. I'm seeing some questions about that.
As well as aviation exploration, because their academics is taken at D. Russell Lee. I had a question about that earlier. That's a great point.
There's a lot of parents that are curious around the technology platforms and or the technology tools and devices that we'll be using at Butler Tech. As a reminder, we provide all students with a one-to-one laptop. How it will work is your principal will email you or contact you via school messenger between now and August 7th, and they will tell you when you are getting your laptop. Some students, if you go to bioscience and natural science, those students will get their laptops on August 4th, 5th, or 6th. If you go to the D. Russell Lee campus, which is our main campus, or School of the Arts, you'll get your laptop on the first day of school. So by the end of the first week of school, all students will have received their laptops, their login credentials, and their passwords so that they have access to that. As a reminder for parents and students, we will continue to use Schoology as our learning management system. Zoom, which is a very popular platform that many of your school districts used during fourth quarter of remote learning last year, we will continue to use Zoom at most of our campuses to connect with students virtually in small groups and deliver virtual instruction. Finally, I want to clarify, because I saw some of these comments in the chat room earlier in the dialogue. We're having fifth day experience all year at Butler Tech because of how popular and how successful it was. But there's some differences. During the first semester, your attendance is required, but it's still personalized. Parents and students, what that means is you might be at home doing a virtual class, you might be on a campus, and if you earn the opportunity, we will support you in going to doing a work-based learning experience at your job, an internship, or a co-op, because that's part of your core mission at Butler Tech, is to become industry ready. During second semester, your fifth day experience is not required. Your attendance is not required, but highly encouraged. We know that many students will still be participating. So this is a model for parents to understand. It's just reverse scaffolding. Everyone gets to personalize their Fridays. We'll coach students through that during the first semester, and then students are in the driver's seat during second semester. I think that covers the second round of dialogue, the second round of conversations. Clarifying one final time, your academics are not 100% completely online. Even when you show up to the classroom, your teacher will have you open your laptop and engage in your instruction with your computer through Schoology so that students are familiar with it. So that when you go home the next day, you're familiar with the technology and how to engage in that work. Does that clarify, AJ, Marnie, John, around some of our academic clarifications?
Yeah, I think so. So just a lot of questions on how many days a week and those kind of things. So again, you are going to be able to see your teachers when you are on campus. You will also work with all of your teachers and your career tech lab instructor online at times, virtually on the days that you are not on campus. And Fridays will vary based on your needs, based on projects that you may be doing. I know some people were saying, so if I'm doing good in my classes, I don't have to come on Fridays. Fridays on the first semester are still required. However, you may be doing great in all your classes, but your teacher asks you to come in to work on a small group project together, and that needs to be done on campus. So there's going to be lots of different scenarios. As we mentioned in the beginning, all of our programs and our campuses are so different. I even saw someone ask something about the animals. So the Natural Science Center, for example, has different needs on Fridays than our auto collision lab might. So that's one of the reasons that, you know, some students may be coming in on Fridays because they're actually going to be working with the animals. So there's a lot of specifics that, as William mentioned, you're going to be getting from your principal and from your instructor. So our purpose tonight is to try to share the broad picture with you of the three, or the second tier of the hybrid plan. And John, can you talk a little bit? I do see a lot of people asking, you know, do they get to choose which tier? And then also why we are kind of, you know, if you could cover again why we've landed right now on tier 2 and how that may change as the landscape of the COVID-19 changes.
Yes, great questions. First, I want to say that all of our associate schools are doing a really tremendous job at planning and organizing their particular plan, which best fits their district. Since we're specifically talking about our campuses, our secondary campuses, the Bioscience, School of the Arts, D. Russell Lee, and Natural Science Center, we serve 10th, 11th, and 12th grade students. And so how we can go about practicing social distancing on those campuses, how we can go about ensuring that our students are following the health and safety protocols is very different than a typical or traditional K-12 campus. I was an elementary principal at one point in time, and you know, the difficulty of having a kindergarten student wear a mask, I certainly understand the difficulties that our district's K-12 schools are going through. But since we have this sort of unique approach to learning and our ability that we only have sophomores, juniors, and seniors on our campus, and our campuses, there's a lot of responsibility that goes about preparing our students for work. Many of our students do work, and so following safety protocols, following the protocols of their workplace will be very similar to what they experience at our Butler Tech campus. So we're confident that we're going to be able to do that at this point in time. However, as of July 22nd at 6:41, this is the plan. And things can change and things may change. And what I would say is that we'll continue to follow the science of it. And as we see if things change for the worse and we have less confidence in our ability to make sure that we can follow all the health and safety protocols, and or we get guidance and direction from the CDC and or our local health departments, we may have to make adjustments accordingly. I can say with I believe 100% accuracy that no one has gone through this before that is on our Facebook Live tonight. And if they have, I certainly applaud them. But I would say that be patient with both our associate schools and with us at Butler Tech. We're doing everything we can to make sure that we're following our protocols and guidance of being opening schools safely and making sure that instructionally it is still a sound practice. That's why the Friday, when you say, are we going 2 days a week or 3 days a week, you're going 2 days a week on campus. The third day a week is teacher directed and teacher assigned. If you need to be on that campus because the teacher needs to work with you for a particular credential, or you need particular work in a particular skill, they will inform you a week in advance that you need to be on that campus for the following week for that particular reason. It is not as a punishment, it's as we're differentiating instruction to make sure that our students are getting the best experience possible.
Absolutely, great clarification there. And then there was another question about the start date. So depending on if the students are put into different cohorts, so August 11th is the official first day of school for Butler Tech, but obviously that's a different half of the campus, or half will be assigned to a campus that day, half will be virtual that day. So William or John, can one of you talk about that? So when we say August 11th, Tuesday, Thursday students, it's their first day on campus. What are the Monday, Wednesday students doing that day, William?
Yeah, so on August 11th, which is a Tuesday, those students designated will report to the campuses. They'll follow the schedule that's outlined on the website, which is the student schedule, what their day looks like. The other students will be engaging virtually with their teachers, and that's we're going to play it or take it with a grain of salt the first day, because not every student will have their laptops. Not every student will be logged into their accounts. And so we're going to offer some grace on that first day. We will do our best at Butler Tech to reach out and connect and make the opportunities available. And for students that don't have laptops, they'll get them when they get there on the very next day, on that Wednesday.
Great, thank you for the clarification. We do have about 15 minutes left, so I'd like to first have Matt, could you put that calendar, the events back up one more time? And I'm going to talk about just a couple of things. I know a lot of people are asking about the upcoming events, and then also asking about where to access some of these documents. So again, I'm just going to kind of go over this from the beginning. July 22nd, that's today, and we are sharing here on Facebook Live. Once this is over, you will be able to go back and watch this Facebook Live again. Plus, we are recording this session, and so we'll be able to upload that to our website in sometime this evening, hopefully the latest in the morning, to be able to put that on the website so you can go back and watch it on the website again too. And for those people who weren't able to join us on Facebook or don't have Facebook. The other thing, as we look at the details today of the July 22nd, is we did share by email with all of the incoming students and parents, if we had the email addresses for both. We shared the documents that kind of go over what the hybrid model looks like. It goes into detail about the district level protocols when it comes to the social distancing that we've discussed, the cleaning protocols, COVID positive protocols, etc. And then finally, that last page gives you a more clear idea of what your days will look like when you are on campus on your specific campus. Again, a lot of that is going to be very specific to your campus and your program. I've copied and pasted it a couple of times in the comments. You may have to kind of scroll around to find it, but you can find these documents at butlertech.org/back to school, or I'm sorry, back to what? And it's, I will just go ahead and post it one more time again right now while I'm thinking of it. So if you haven't been able to find those, you should be able to find that in the comments section. Yes, student campus appointments. So if we can go back to the event calendar again, Matt. So the next thing that you'll hear from us is on the 27th, which is this coming Monday. We've been working behind the scenes with all of our principals over the last couple of days for them to actually record a video that's specific to their campus and the programs that are on their campus. So that's where we're going to get into the more of the specific details that a lot of you are asking about. You will receive a link to that video on Monday, and you'll be able to look at just your principal talking about what this hybrid to the tier 2 is going to look like on your campus. At that time, they'll also be sharing some information for the August 4th through the 6th dates. And you can see there, we've got them listed as student campus appointments. There's going to be some items to pick up. As William mentioned, you may be picking up your laptop. You may be dropping off tools. I don't know if that's going to be a thing. That's going to be program specific. We are giving you the mask and water bottle and hand sanitizer. So when you come to campus, you will pick those items up. And I know some of you are a little bit nervous. I've seen some people say, I don't remember where the lab is, or how do I get to the lab, because I was only there twice, you know, on career days and on orientation. So those will be a time when you can actually visit your campus at a designated time that you choose, in an appointment type of style with your principal, and you'll be able to ease your fears a little bit about the building and how you'll find your first class that day. Then on August 7th, we will have you doing your virtual orientation with your instructor. I know a lot of you already did a Zoom call with your career tech instructor back in the spring, actually, when we first sent out acceptances. It'll be very similar to that, but they're going to be answering a lot of those really specific questions: uniforms, tools, other supplies that you may need, etc. So that's going to happen on August 7th, and that will be in a virtual format. So orientation will be virtual, and you will be receiving information from your principal and your instructor about that in the coming days. And then finally, our first day, August 11th, our Tuesday, Thursday students will arrive on campus. Our Monday, Wednesday students will log on if they have the capability. If not, we're not worried about it as much that first day. And then the very next day, you'll have the opportunity to come to the campus and really get your year started with Butler Tech. So I'll go ahead and post this on the website right up front and easy to find, so that you all know these important dates. Very, very important to watch your email over the next few days. Watch the email that you gave us if you are a new Butler Tech student, the email that you gave us on your application. And then parents, if we have your email address in our system, you'll be receiving that as well. Not all of our incoming sophomores and juniors, we don't have an email address for all of the parents yet. So that kind of covers the outline. Are there any other things that I should cover from my group, my Butler Tech team?
We just kept seeing about transportation again. Your home school will provide transportation to and from your Butler Tech campus.
Contact them.
Perfect. Yes,
There
contact
were
them.
some- Right, contact the school district.
Contact your home school in order to get your times of pickup and where you're going to be meeting. But transportation will be provided.
Parking passes is another one. We will be giving temporary parking passes, I believe we decided. We're really more worried about making sure that we know who's on campus, but I think we've decided, William, do you want to talk about that? I think we've decided that we're not going to collect fees for parking passes right away.
Yeah, go ahead, William.
Yeah, just for the first couple weeks, we will not be collecting fees until Labor Day. So for the first couple weeks, we're going to let students get acclimated, figure things out, really focus on learning technology. They don't need to stress about the parking applications. Once we get through the first 3 weeks of our new hybrid plan and our hybrid model, campus principals will then be facilitating the parking pass and application process when students are at the campuses. So no one needs to be in panic mode about that. We have plenty of parking spaces.
Class schedules is another one. Again, when you hear from your principal next week, you'll hear about schedules and when you'll know more detailed information on, I know a couple of the campuses, it just says half of the juniors, half of the seniors. Your principals will be giving you that information. That's very specific to your campus, to your own schedule, depending on what classes you need to take. And that'll be information that'll be shared in the coming days. This is what we're talking about here today is primarily the district level information about the tier 2 hybrid model.
Yeah, somebody had asked the question about what if students don't wear masks. Let me just go ahead and share that. We've had over 2,000 applications for approximately 900 spots. We know that during our interview process and acceptance into our programs, our students come with grit, tenacity, and a desire to learn about their particular field of study. So we don't anticipate having any issues with non-compliance in that way. However, if somebody is strongly opposed to wearing a mask, my suggestion is that maybe Butler Tech is not the place for you. We're going to follow the protocols from the CDC. We believe in the science that says that masks do reduce the risk of exposure. And the reason for the masks is that if or when we have a positive COVID case and we contact the local health department, we want to be able to tell them everyone was socially distancing and everyone was wearing a mask. The second thing is, from a schedule standpoint, we've worn masks before. I've been at the workplace wearing masks. The only reason I'm not is because I'm at home Zooming on the call right now. Otherwise, I'd have a mask on. We know that the frequency of breaks and finding a space where you can go outside and take your mask off is going to be necessary. It's going to look different per campus, per building. But we also know that our students are very responsible. They're very resilient. They do a great job, and we listen to them. So if they need more frequent breaks because the mask is becoming bothersome, they work in the hot labs a lot of time anyway. They're doing a lot of great things. In the workplace, they're wearing masks. So we really don't see it's going to be an issue. But yes, we will uphold our safety protocols for the safety of our students and our staff.
David, can you talk a little bit more about the home temperature check? Just go over that as a protocol again. There's a lot of people asking specifically about the temperature checks.
Yes, please take your temperatures at home. There are a lot of different thermometers available. If you take your temperature at home and just make sure you look at those CDC questions and that you're feeling well. If you don't have a temperature and you're feeling well, you know you're okay to come to school.
There was a question about why we would not provide a temperature check upon arrival. Maybe just want to talk through that congregation and congregating of all of the students arriving at one time, and I mean that creates a concern right there with trying to take temperatures.
Yes, absolutely. So from the time students come to our school, there are sometimes minutes for them to get in and get to their classrooms. There are limited accesses to the buildings, and we don't have the resources to have enough people to take enough students' temperatures as they're coming in to get everyone into the building on a daily basis. So please continue to monitor your temperatures at home. That's a great way to keep up with your own personal health.
John, AJ,
Great.
I also want to add, really want to just honor and shout out for the students that are going to be coming back as seniors, or the students that are going to be new as sophomores and juniors. We're excited about your experience. We know things look different, feel different. Your principals have worked really hard alongside their teachers and counselors in the last couple of weeks to really make the best out of a challenging situation. And we're just super proud of our teachers. We're super proud of our counselors, super proud of our campus leaders right now for putting together the best possible hybrid model. And I'm also super thankful for the critical questions tonight that are in the chat feed, helping us be critical about our plan. And a lot of just really solid questions help us refine our work and make sure that we have everything detailed and laid out as we continue to move forward for students in the next coming days. So we are excited to see you folks and young people on August 11th, and excited to see you in a new hybrid model. And Butler Tech is pumped up.
Yeah. Absolutely. There are, like I said, a lot of questions in the chat that we've probably not gotten to, and we realize that, especially if they are program specific. So again, if you have something that is very program specific when it comes to something that's specific to your campus arrival, or uniforms for your campus, or just even how the flow of your day will go on your campus, that's all going to be very specific, and we'll be offering additional details. Also, I'll remind you, please, if you haven't already seen it, go to our website at butlertech.org/backtowhat. And I'll post that again here in the comments as well. Download your your campus information. So many of the questions that we're seeing in the chat tonight are actually really answered in detail in those forms. So that should be really helpful to a lot of you. I will go back this evening and tomorrow, because there's literally hundreds and hundreds of comments, and do my best to try to answer as many of those as I can. And then also, if you do have a comment that is, especially a comment that's district level, that you didn't get answered tonight and somehow I miss it, please feel free to email us at questions@butlertech.org. I implore you to hold off on your program specific questions, because your principals are going to handle that for you over the next few days. So I will get back to everybody either through the Facebook comments or by email as soon as I absolutely can, but please check out the document. There's a lot of really good information in there on how this is all going to work. Anybody else?
Yeah, so we're coming up on the 7 o'clock time frame, and just want to thank everybody for participating tonight and sharing some of your questions. Hopefully we were able to answer many of those. I want to thank our principals. I saw through the Facebook feed that we had a lot of our principals that were assisting us in the efforts of helping those Facebook feed questions. So thank you to our principals and staff members. I saw some staff members that were on the feed as well. I also want to thank everybody that participated in the Zoom call tonight. You guys are remarkable people, and certainly appreciate your efforts. To all the families and the students, as William and all of us have said, we're excited to have you join us. We miss you. We look forward to meeting our 10th grade students that are coming to our campus for the first time. You will experience education second to none. It is a remarkable place that I have had the privilege of having a couple of my own children go through. All of the thoughts about how we're going to implement the safety protocols. I have, my superintendent hat on, but I have the hat of a father as well, in making sure that we're doing everything to keep all of our kids and our staff safe. From an instructional perspective, we know that our students will thrive with the hands-on learning approach in a safe manner. And we also know that we're going to provide them the support that when we have to do the online virtual in order to meet the 50% capacity, that you're going to have the support necessary, as Mrs. Durham mentioned, about students with special needs or students with 504s. We know we didn't answer 100% of the questions tonight. We anticipated we wouldn't be able to answer 100% of the questions, but what we can tell you is that we're doing everything possible to make sure that we're 100% ready on August 11th and August 12th, respectively. So with that being said, I want to thank you for participating in our Facebook live feed tonight. Enjoy your evening. Continue to ask the questions, and we'll do everything we can to make sure that we answer them for you. Thank you, everybody.